Here are the 10 least reliable pickup trucks that will never last. Let's go. Number 10. 2005 to 2008 Toyota Tundra. Well, you may be thinking, wait a minute, a Toyota? On our worst trucks list? How? And I get it. Toyota is known for building some of the longest-lasting vehicles on the road. But even Toyota has had some off years, and for the Tundra, that was 2005 to 2008. These Tundras had some of the most serious frame rust problems. If you lived in a region with harsh winters, road salt, or heavy humidity, your truck might have literally started disintegrating beneath you. Toyota eventually issued a massive frame recall, but for many owners, the die was already cast. Some frames rotted so badly that the trucks became undrivable, forcing Toyota to replace the entire frame. And if that wasn't bad enough, the early 5.7-liter V8 also had serious issues. Owners complained of camshaft failures, piston slap, and timing chain problems that led to costly repairs. The air injection pump was another weak point. The truck would go limp if it failed, leaving it nearly undrivable. So, while newer Tundras are tough, if you're considering a used one from this era, tread extra carefully. Rust and mechanical breakdowns can turn a good deal sour and cost a fortune. Number 9. 2021 to 2022 Ford F-150 Hybrid Power Boost. The Ford F-150 is America's best-selling truck, and for good reason. However, when Ford released its first hybrid F-150, things didn't go as planned. The 2021 to 2022 Power Boost Hybrid was touted as the future of trucks, combining efficiency with good old-fashioned pulling power. Instead, it turned into a glitchy nightmare. A major owner complaint was random battery failures. This truck has a pair of 12-volt batteries working with the hybrid battery, and they had an annoying tendency to die with little or no warning. Just imagine, you leave for work, hop in your truck, and turn the key and nothing happens. Then there was the transmission issue. The 10-speed automatic was jerky, hesitant, and downright unpredictable at times. Some owners said it would randomly go into gear or take ages to shift, making for a miserable driving experience. And don't forget the electronic gremlins. The infotainment system was buggy, the touchscreen glitchy, and random warning lights constantly popped up. The 2021 F-150 Hybrid received an embarrassing Consumer Reports reliability score of 4 out of 100, making it one of the least reliable trucks ever. Ford may fix the bugs in future iterations, but in its current form, it's more power bust than power boost hybrid. Number 8. 2015 to 2022 Chevrolet Colorado and GMC Canyon. If you want a mid-sized truck that comes with full-size headaches, these are the trucks for you. Don't be fooled by their looks. Under the hood, you'll find serious problems. The biggest issue? Transmission failures. These trucks feature an 8-speed automatic with a notorious problem: torque converter shudder. Imagine being behind the wheel. Everything's going fine, and then bam, your truck starts vibrating as if it's having an epileptic attack. Some owners tried transmission flushes, others software updates, but nothing worked. The transmission wasn't the only problem. The electrical system was also problematic. Owners reported random warning lights, failing infotainment screens, and complete electrical shutdowns. Additionally, the build quality was questionable, with rattling dashboards, leaky seals, and fragile interior parts over time. By the 2022 model, Consumer Reports had given the Colorado one of the worst reliability ratings in its class. So if you're considering a used one, be aware you might be in for a bumpy ride. Number 7. 2014 to 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 and GMC Sierra 1500. Chevy introduced an all-new generation of Silverado and Sierra in 2014, promising more performance, improved fuel economy, and enhanced tech. Instead, what they delivered was a complete train wreck. The most infamous problem? Power steering failures. Imagine taking a turn and suddenly you can't steer. Thousands of Chevy models were recalled to address this issue. Then came the braking problems. Some trucks experienced a vacuum pump failure. So when you pressed the brakes, they became rock hard and wouldn't stop. Definitely not what you want in a big truck. And let's talk about the transmission. The 6-speed automatic had clunky downshifts, and then Chevy introduced an 8-speed automatic, which somehow was even worse. This truck also suffered from the notorious Chevy shake, a vibration that made driving unpleasant, annoying, and often downright frightening. GM faced multiple class action lawsuits and issued numerous recalls, yet never truly solved these problems. These trucks may look good on the outside, but under the hood, a mess. Number 6. Nissan Frontier 2005 to 2010. On paper, the Nissan Frontier looks like a fantastic little truck, but if you owned a pickup between 2005 and 2010, you likely experienced one of the costliest truck flops in history. It was infamously known as the strawberry milkshake of death, and that's no joke. The faulty radiator design allowed coolant to seep into the transmission, creating a milky pink sludge that ruined the transmission. One day your truck shifts perfectly, the next you're staring at a $4,000 to $7,000 repair bill. And it didn't stop there. The Frontier also suffered from timing chain issues, adding yet another costly fix. And what if your fuel gauge didn't work? Congratulations! Your vehicle could blow its transmission even though your dashboard said everything was fine. Nissan later faced a class action lawsuit, but it couldn't undo the damage already done to thousands of owners. If you're considering a used Frontier, verify that the radiator has been replaced or walk away. Number 5. 2004 to 2006 Nissan Titan. Nissan was never known as a full-size truck brand. In 2004, it tried to challenge the usual suspects, the F-150, Silverado, and Ram, with the Titan. Instead of becoming a game-changer, it turned into one of the most frustrating trucks to own. A look at the service history of a 2004 to 2006 Titan, and you can bet you spent countless hours in the repair shop. The biggest nightmare? Rear axle and differential failures. Many Titans of this era came with weak rear differentials that would simply self-destruct. Owners complained of odd whining sounds, leaking fluids, and then boom, the entire axle would lock up or fail completely. And guess what? Nissan never recalled it, so unlucky owners had to shell out $3,500 or more for repairs. It wasn't just the axle. The exhaust manifolds tended to crack, leading to irritating ticking noises and expensive fixes. And don't even get me started on the brakes. The first-generation Titan had undersized brake rotors that warped quickly, causing brake shake, pulsation, and poor stopping power. The worst part? Nissan never really fixed these issues. They eventually improved the Titan, but by then it was too late. Many truck owners still have a sour taste in their mouths from the first-gen Titan. Number 4. 2012 to 2015 Ram 2500 and 3500 Heavy Duty. You'd assume a heavy-duty truck would be, well, heavy-duty. But if you owned a 2012 to 2015 Ram 2500 or 3500, you might have spent more time in the shop than on the job site. These trucks were designed for hauling and towing, but became infamous for huge steering, turbo, and transmission problems. Let's start with the notorious death wobble. Picture driving down the highway, hitting a small bump, and suddenly your entire truck shakes like an earthquake. It was a common issue with the front suspension of the Ram 2500 and 3500. Ball joints, tie rods, track bars, drivers often had to replace all of them, sometimes repeatedly, just to keep this truck stable. Then there was the turbo failure. The Cummins diesel engine was generally reliable, but the turbocharger had a nasty habit of failing prematurely. When it did, you'd lose power, suffer terrible fuel economy, and face repairs costing thousands. And we haven't even mentioned the transmission problems. Some Ram owners complained about hard shifting, slipping gears, and total transmission failure, sometimes well before 100,000 miles. The 2015 Ram 2500 received one of the Consumer Report's lowest reliability ratings ever, a meager 11 out of 100. For a vehicle meant to last hundreds of thousands of miles, that's just embarrassing. Number 3. 2001 to 2003 Dodge Ram 1500. The Dodge Ram 1500 of the early 2000s. A truck that looked tough and sounded tough, but was one of the most unreliable pickups of its time. If you owned one of these, you probably have a few war stories to tell. For one, the transmission was crappy. Dodge has never been known for the best automatics. And the 45RFE and 545RFE transmissions in these Rams represent the worst of that batch. Numerous owners experienced slippage, late shifts, and complete transmission failure long before 100,000 miles. Some even had to replace their transmission twice before reaching 150,000 miles, and that repair bill was huge. And then there was the 4.7-liter Magnum V8. Sounds powerful, right? Well, not really. This engine had a serious oil sludge issue. If you didn't change your oil regularly, your engine could seize up completely, often between 60,000 miles and more, teaching some owners a very expensive lesson. And who can forget those cracked dashboards? The plastic used in these trucks was some of the cheapest Dodge ever chose, and after a few years in the sun, the dashboards began cracking, splitting, and falling apart. Some owners joked that their trucks were turning into a jigsaw puzzle. For a vehicle that should have been a workhorse, the early 2000s Dodge Ram 1500 turned into a maintenance nightmare. Number 2, 2004 to 2005 Ford F-150 5.4-liter Triton V8. This one holds a special place in the Hall of Shame. If you owned one of these trucks with the 5.4-liter Triton V8, you know exactly why it made this list. First, the most infamous problem, the spark plugs. For some reason, Ford designed these engines with two-piece spark plugs that would seize inside the cylinder head. When you tried to change them, they would break off, leaving half the plug stuck in the engine. Mechanics despised working on these trucks, and many owners were charged thousands for a simple spark plug change. Then came the cam phaser problems. If you ever heard of an F-150 of this generation knocking, that was likely the cam phasers failing. This caused timing issues, a drop in power, and eventually full-blown engine failure. And don't even get me started on the transmission. The 4-speed automatic was notorious for hard shifting, slipping gears, and complete failure before 100,000 miles. Ford ultimately faced a flurry of class action lawsuits over these trucks. But by then, thousands of owners had already spent a fortune on repairs. If you ever came across a cheap used 2004 to 2005 F-150 for sale, do yourself a favor and run the other direction. Number 1, 2003 to 2007 Ford F-250 and F-350 Super Duty 6.0-liter Power Stroke Diesel. And now, here we are at the bottom of the list. If you're familiar with trucks, you probably saw this one coming. This Ford was a complete mess. The engine was so bad, so unreliable, and so costly to fix that it became infamous for all the wrong reasons. One of the biggest issues was blown head gaskets. The 6.0-liter Power Stroke used weak head bolts that couldn't withstand the engine's high compression, resulting in major head gasket failures, power loss, and overheating. Then there was the EGR cooler issue. This component, meant to control emissions, would clog up and overheat, often taking the entire engine down with it. The variable geometry turbocharger was also prone to failure, causing loss of power, rough idling, and costly repairs. By the time Ford replaced the 6.0-liter Power Stroke with the 6.4-liter, the damage was done. These trucks were meant to last for hundreds of thousands of miles, but ended up becoming one of the biggest money pits in truck history. So there you have it, 10 of the least reliable pickups that will never last. Let us know your experience in the comments if you had one. Did I forget any other less than trustworthy trucks? And remember, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, which has other truck videos, and stay tuned for more epic content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.